It's time to rumble in the jungle. This cheetah captures a piglet, and you can hear the little one squeal to the top of its lungs, but no one is around to help it out.
Saddha, belief in Buddhism.
Saddha is the informed belief based on the results of the initial verification or inquiry of hypotheses, the correct view of doctrines, concepts, ideas, and other things, formed by the lack of evidence, and which is a starting point to be followed up. The word Saddha has imprecise meaning and understanding, and does not have the correct equivalent of the word in another language vocabulary to replace it. For that, Saddha can't just be defined as faith. Saddha is also not a faith in another belief, for Saddha demands further bullying of proof, and is not based on blind trust and fear. To do this, Saddha was called into question and challenged by the Pali Buddhist scholars. And instead of translated as faith, Saddha can be translated as self-confidence. Faith in religion or other beliefs is belief based on fear of that which is considered the supreme power, as well as without beginning with verification, and without further proof of verification. In faith, what is believed to be the truth, and is inclined to believe blindly. To illustrate faith, a certain religion claims that one must have faith in the Lord and His messenger that he may gain salvation, or he will go to hell after death. Out of fear of not being saved and going to hell, a person chooses to believe in the existence of the Lord with all His commands with ho. To illustrate faith, a certain religion claims that one must have faith in the Lord and His messenger that he may gain salvation, or he will go to hell after death. Because of fear of being rescued and hell, a person chooses to believe in the Lord's existence with all His commands without questioning, without checking the statement, and without following through on the attempt to prove the truthfulness of His existence. And so the critical thought comes to a halt. Rather, the long application of Saddha is a confident inward gesture and receives the initial verification or inquiry results of a true supposition or hypothesis of doctrine, concepts, ideas, and other things,
which at the present stage of one's self-development cannot be proven because of the limited evidence available, and as the starting point of the next follow-up of the testing efforts for verification of the truth.
Briefly, Saddha is a belief based on a hypothesis. The use of this hypothesis is because it has a sense or understanding that approaches to that of Saddha.
Hypotheses themselves are viewed as valid for reason or application, theory, proposition, and so forth, although the truth must still be proved. Hypotheses also mean the proposed supposition or explanation, which is made on the basis of limited evidence as the starting point for further investigation. Hypotheses have also been called the basis of the investigation, and in various studies a hypothesis will be based on previous research. To example of Saddha, a people is called to have a Saddha of the Buddha though he has not met him first, because he has previously performed verification
and the search for his teachings for some time, and at any given moment can see and ensure that there are positive things, such as compassion, lack of passion, and so forth in others who have practiced his doctrine correctly,
so that upon seeing them all ultimately engendered joy, inspiration, and confidence in the people as to what he had verified and investigated. As the teaching of someone who has been enlightened, even Buddha, and befitting himself. And to the next he will try to prove it by practicing the doctrine. Saddha is one of 5 things that can produce 2 distinct things, that is, produce the right thing or the wrong thing. In other words, something received on the basis of Saddha can be right or wrong, can be a fact or otherwise. Since Saddha's condition can produce these two distinct things, it would be inappropriate for a wise man who preserves or keeps the truth from contexting exactly what he receives through that Saddha saying, "Only this is right, the other is wrong," until he proves the truth. But he has the right to declare, "So is my confidence." There are two types of Saddha, namely, Saddha having a point or basis of Mulika Saddha, and Saddha having no point or basis on Amulika Saddha. Mulika Saddha is the careful appraisal of the verification or investigation results of Chipasiko, which has the basis for an understatement, doctrine, and so forth. Whereas Amulika Saddha is a conviction that appears without prejudgment with careful verification or inquiry which also has no basis for a statement, doctrine, and so forth.
The deep-rooted belief, or Saddha based on the Akravada Saddha Dasanamulika, is a strong belief that no one can defeat.
This confidence is an assurance based on wisdom or wisdom, by wisdom or called powers of wisdom or panandriya. The Saddha of one's self will be stable. This is the kind of confidence or Saddha encouraged in believing in Tiratana, the Buddha of Dhammas, and Sangha, since such Saddha is useful for establishing, strengthening, focusing, and guiding an intention to achieve the goal, which in the Buddhist context is the true freedom or realization of Nibbana. To this end, Saddha of Tiratana was important at the beginning of an inner development, and Saddha was thus likened to a seed. And for that also Saddha needs to be developed by practicing the Buddha's teaching while testing it, so that one can strengthen and focus more on achieving goals.
At the end level, on those who have seen, know, penetrated, imbibed, and achieved righteousness by themselves directly to something, such as to one of the Buddha's teachings, then Saddha of the Tiratana is no longer needed, their Shinga being without Saddha or Asada.
It is just as a person who has proved the truth, sees a fact that exists and is tested, that he no longer needs a hypothesis or a correct assumption. From the foregoing sense Saddha is characterized, it is a verifying result of hypotheses, not final truths, but is the starting point of the journey to realization the truth through examination, and is in need of discretion. The function of Saddha itself is to direct one into doing something, committed in obtaining clarity and verification of the doctrine, concepts, ideas, and so on.
So the description of Saddha may be useful, and for those of you who disagree with this description, then ignore and forget it. Think of it as an understanding of others and of other people. Utilize it as an advance of knowledge.
For those of you who are watching this video until it is finished, thank you very much. I'll see you in another video on this channel, on the channel Hermanuhadi on YouTube. May you be healthy, charitable, passionate about living a life of peace, and always be happy. Bye.
And battle amongst themselves to keep dominance. Keep an eye on these two Tibetan yaks as they compete. I assure you, I wouldn't want to be in the center of this brawl. Massive, powerful beasts with vicious horns and muscular frames. They don't stop for a single second, and the intensity is mind-boggling. These two yaks go at it on the side of a cliff, and this is no laughing matter. It's anybody's game, and each yak gives it its all as the treacherous fight continues. Luckily, one yak manages to flip the other over and pushes it down the cliff. Yakety yak yak, whatever that means. I don't even know where these yaks buy their dresses, but they are the coolest accoutrements I've ever seen. They wear them even during battle, and it doesn't take long before this yak pins this other yak for a count of 3. Defeated, the yak walks away with its tail between its legs. I guess yaks fight for their colors. This black yak goes up against a white yak, and the white yak overpowers it. When another black yak notices it, it comes to the other black yak's rescue, and the two black yaks join forces to push the white yak off their territory. I don't know about you, but that was a lot of yakking. Finally, in this video, A yak attempts to reclaim its territory by slowly getting back on the hill. It manages to do so and then launches a violent attack against the other yak. These fellas do not kid around. Cheetah versus warthog. These cheetahs are on the hunt for some pork, and look how graceful this cheetah is as it's galloping full speed ahead to catch up to this warthog. His friend joins in and they are successful catching their prey. These two warthogs are not happy about this cheetah's presence, and they let it know, but the cheetah is even more upset and lunges at the animals. The warthogs stand their ground and even challenge the feline. It's time to rumble in the jungle. This cheetah captures a piglet, and you can hear the little one squeal to the top of its lungs, but no one is around to help it out. You can admire the blinding speed of the cheetah in this video as it runs down a warthog until it has it in between its paws, and it is game over. Cheetahs are extremely fast, but they're not very big compared to the other big cats, so they must be careful and choose carefully what animals they hunt. And that's why hunting a small piglet like the one in this video is safer for these felines, rather than going for a much larger adult warthog. Camel spider. Camel spiders became an internet craze during the 2003 Iraq War, when stories of their bloodlust spread over the web. Many of these stories were backed by photographs of spiders half the size of a human. Camel spiders have long been portrayed in Middle Eastern folklore as huge, venomous predators capable of running as quickly as a person, and with a voracious appetite for large mammals. The legends are false, of course. Although these spiders do not devour camel stomachs or sleeping troops, and they are not particularly enormous, the real camel spider is nonetheless a formidable predator. This footage allows you to see a camel spider in action, devouring a millipede. You can see the camel spider is aggressive and voracious, and it doesn't give the millipede 1 second to think. Wait a minute, do millipedes think? Watch what happens when this Japanese huntsman is dropped into this aquarium. The camel spider doesn't waste 1 second before it jumps on the huntsman. The two are entangled together to the death. This poor frog has been introduced to a camel spider, and the date didn't go so well, so the spider decided to eat the frog since it didn't turn into a prince after she kissed it. Males, beware. You can see how the camel spider cuts off the frog's limbs. It sort of reminds me of the praying mantis. This black widow is no pushover, but you can see by looking at this video that this camel spider is not impressed. It just steamrolls over the widow, giving it no chance of surviving. Even birds are part of this killer spider's menu, as you can see in this video. The camel spider easily kills this small bird even though it tries to resist, and gives it open heart surgery by the time the battle is over.